How we doing, everybody? My name is Austin Medina here with Madness Sports Talk, and today we're going to be going through the latest prospects. We're going to dive in with our expert about each prospect, the ins and outs, the strengths, the weaknesses, and the fits going forward in the 2020 and 2021 NBA season. And I'm joined by Ryan Medina, our NBA draft analyst. How we doing, Ryan?
Hey, Obi, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate to be on the show. Looking forward to hearing about the madness.
So, you know, a lot of good prospects here, Rye, for the NBA draft. LaMelo Ball is obviously the marquee name, but he may not even be a top 3 prospect when all is said and done. You know, really interesting players from overseas. We had some great players in college, Anthony Edwards and James Wiseman, to name a few. All right, Rye, this is a prospect that I really was interested at. At Dayton. You know, who watches Dayton basketball? It doesn't really happen, but when you have an Obi Toppin, you bring yourself to the screen, you put on ESPN too, and you throw it on. And Obi Toppin really popped off the screen. He was always the best player on the court when I watched him. You know, a 6'9" athletic forward, a modern day forward. This is what you're looking for: athleticism, the ability to score inside the paint, create some separation, and really just run the floor and really just use your athleticism to your advantage. What do you see in Obi Toppin? What's an NBA team get?
Yeah, a lot of teams are going to be interested in Obi Toppin. I can see teams trading up for him. I think you're going to get a 6'9", 220-pound stud. I think that he's going to be one of those tweeners again in that forward position. I think the modern day four. He could definitely fit in there. You look at different player comps for him. Some people were saying, giving him as high as praise as a young Amari Stoudemire. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do think someone in the league today that he could potentially grow into a role like is Tobias Harris, right? I do think that you're going to see with Obi Toppin himself, not only the athleticism to beat you off the dribble, or catching lobs off a good point guard, but he's going to be able to make his own bucket, right? And I think that if he continues to work on that shot, we're going to see a Tobias Harris-like role. And again, we have to think about this in the context, right? Tobias Harris, it took years to really polish in this league, to become the player he is today. And again, you can say what you want, but Tobias Harris, he could fill up the chart for sure.
Oh, no doubt. And I think that a team like the New York Knicks would really kill for an Obi Toppin. You know, a stretch four for them who can attack the glass, put pressure on defenses, and really break down defenses where he could, facilitate that way. I'm concerned about his defense, especially off the pick and roll. We've seen players in the league. If you can't defend the pick and roll, you can't play fourth quarter, and you can't play in the playoffs. A name that comes to mind is Enes Kanter. He's a welcome mat, and I don't mean to say Obi Toppin is that. He's still 20. He's 22 years old. He's still young. If he puts the time and effort, I think he can, at the very least, sure up some way and be able to give a little resistance to the pick and roll. But I love that. I love his size, interior, just a big frame. And I think that when you have this kind of player, you could really exploit mismatches. And an Obi Toppin, just being able to pick on smaller wings and athletic wings, I think that he would be able to use a little more bully ball. And that I think a team like the New York Knicks or a team like Detroit, they could really use bully ball and a slow it down type pace.
Yeah, and again, well, I think another good player comp might be a Miles Bridges out of Charlotte, right?
Right.
I think that you see a guy that can kind of do it, a little bit of everything, and I do think that he could make an impact quite similar, especially if he starts dropping in the draft. I can see teams that go out and make sure they can get a guy like Obi Toppin. I definitely think that we could see him go anywhere from probably as early as 4. But I think if he starts dropping closer to 8, 9, 10, right? Maybe a playoff team comes in and just tries seeing what they can get, right?
Right.
I definitely think there's a lot of potential there.
Exactly. There's reports going on right now that the Dallas Mavericks are looking to move their draft pick. They're trying to acquire a player, another scorer. I think they need more defense, but there have been links to Lou Williams of the Clippers. So, for instance, if the Clippers got that pick and were able to move up and Obi Toppin in LA, that would be an easy plug and play. A guy who can bring a bucket off the bench, and in the playoffs, what do they need? They needed that third player to show up when it mattered most. They really needed a second player to show up, but Pandemic P was nowhere to be found. But I do think that Obi Toppin can really fill a lot of teams' needs based off scoring and athleticism alone.